Well, I want to acknowledge that there's so much upside down right now in the world. So much on a physical level, spiritual level, political level, environmental level. So much is upside down. And here we are talking about money. And I feel like we actually need to turn money upside down, because the ways we've been interacting with money for a lot of us, including myself, have not produced a lot of spaciousness and freedom. There's been a lot of stress, especially right now. And this is actually an arena of our lives that we can have some agency over. We can decrease the stress in this area. So as I'm speaking, just listening to yourself, noticing in your body as we're entering this volatile field or taboo field of money, just being aware of what's arising for you in your body. I know I get nervous, even though I've been in the money world for 30 years, I've got anxiety around money. Is we're going to see if we can move a little bit, loosen some of the grip that we have on our money beliefs. After doing this for decades, I've determined that it's those beliefs around money and the way we grip to them that keeps us in a certain path around money, or a certain behavior pattern that often isn't serving us. And around money, feeling is that what's going to support you is your own wisdom around money. See, money is different from any other field out there. It's a field where your own wisdom, your common sense around money is absolutely gold. I mean, it's what's going to make you successful. It's not like you need to learn a lot about money. It's all about sort of removing the blocks to our own wisdom around money. Because I've worked with people who have PhDs in finance, MBAs in finance, and they're making the silliest mistakes with their money. They're just as impulsive, just as irrational as the rest of us with our finances. It has very little to do with how much money you have, nor does it have much to do with how much knowledge you have in terms of how successful you are with your finances. So financial success does not depend so much on how much you have or how much you even know about money. It's how much you can access your own wisdom around money. Because I define success as the ability to be at ease and on purpose with our finances. There was a lot of money suffering in my family growing up. I lost my aunt and uncle and first cousins for a money fight that could not be resolved. I was determined not to suffer like my family around money, so I decided to get an MBA, and I went to Wharton Business School, one of the best business schools in the country in Philadelphia, and I felt I'm going to master money. And yet, when I graduated from business school, I was doing the same impulsive behavior around spending, around investing, and one day I ran into a burning building, my material possessions, because I got a message early on that your material life was more important than anything else, that money is the most important thing in the world. And it drove me into that building. And that's when I realized that it's not about getting an MBA in finance. It's about all this submerged iceberg stuff. It's about our emotional intelligence. So for me, when I was 8 years old, I was playing basketball with my friends, and everyone was talking about how much money their parents earned. And it was very exciting, that conversation. And I ran home, and I was in the kitchen with my dad, and I said, "Dad, how much money do you make?" Well, he gave me a glare that terrified me. He did not answer my question with words. He answered it with this stare, this terrorizing glare towards me. And that glare told me three things about money: that money must be the most important thing in the world, and you can never have enough of it, and it's something you should never talk about. Well, that didn't play out so well in my life. And that's what this work has been about for me, is transcending those early messages. What I'd like to do now is we're going to do a guided meditation. So I invite you to find a posture for sitting and just feeling your body. And I invite you to close your eyes and tune into yourself and what's arising right now in this moment for you. What's arising in your heart? What's arising in your mind? And connecting with the inhale and exhale. Centering yourself. And as you center yourself, just letting go of any agendas that you have for after this session, letting go of anything that's to come, and bringing yourself right here in this moment, and welcoming whatever's arising, especially around money. And I invite you as you're feeling that breath coming deep into your center, also feeling the way that breath nourishes you and feeds you. And now recall your childhood. Between the ages of 5 and 12, and recalling something significant that happened around money. So it could be a story like mine where you had an interaction with a parent or caregiver or another family member. It also could be a story about the absence of communication around money. That there was just silence around money. Like you knew they should have been talking about it. You felt the stress in your family, but nobody addressed it. Or there was outright denial of it. There was this pretension that all was fine. So recalling that memory, that early childhood memory, and if you can't recall something ages of 5 to 12, then something in the teen years or later, and allow yourself to actually drop into that experience from your childhood. Allow yourself to feel into that experience, describing the situation. Where are you? You at home? What season is it? How old are you? Who else is there, if anyone? What are they saying? What are the people around you saying around money? Or what are they not saying? And how are you feeling? What's arising as you're experiencing this situation? What are you feeling in your body, in your belly, in your heart? And in your mind? What's your understanding of what's being conveyed to you? What are you believing about yourself? And what are you believing about money? What are you believing about yourself? And what are you believing about money? And how have these beliefs served you? How have they protected you? How have these beliefs served you and protected you, especially around money? And how have these beliefs not served you? Also noticing, are these beliefs, are they absolutely true, these beliefs? What I invite you to do now is to grab your pen and paper, and I'm going to share my screen with some prompts. And what I want you to do is to write down beliefs that acquired from the story, and how are those beliefs affecting your life today? How are they affecting your savings and spending and giving, etc.? thoughts, messages keep playing in your mind, and anything else that would serve you to remember from that meditation, from that experience, responding to any of these prompts. And I'm going to give you 8 minutes to do this. Okay, so take a minute. All right. All right. Well, welcome back. So I'd love to hear from some of us, what was the message that you got around money growing up, whether it was don't talk about money, money grows on trees, money doesn't grow on trees, don't worry about money, spend everything.
I love this exercise, thank you. The thing that came to my mind, which is a really strong memory for me, is I was sitting in the car with my family when I was about 10, and I had won a scholarship to a very affluent high school, and our family didn't have money. And we had won the scholarship, but it was still going to be a lot of money anyway for books and other things that we couldn't afford. And the message I got from that moment, hearing my mother's stress at the idea of having to spend this money for me to go to this school, was it was so important for me to be the one who got out. So I had to be the one who sort of was going to help the family get the education that they never had and all of that sort of thing. And I felt like I had to work really, really hard for that. And I felt like I was the only one. It was me. It was all on me, basically, was the feeling.
Yeah.
The money is like, it's my responsibility. I have to do it.
Yeah,
and it's, I mean,
there's a burden that's associated with money.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's me. It's all on me to figure that out. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I completely resonate, and if you also resonate with that, you can raise a hand. Yeah, that's very familiar. Thank you for that. The other reason I do the sharing around money is it breaks the taboo, because you're not allowed to talk about money, especially in this culture, and it's a way of sort of breaking down these fixed ideas that we have around money that we keep in isolation. So if I don't share my beliefs with you, they stay more intact. My encouragement is for us to find that place of enough within ourselves right now, which sounds preposterous, but the whole financial industry is all about the future. It's all about enough is somewhere out there, and finding a way for us to feel this liberating sense of enough within us right now in this moment. And the other, this myth that somehow the future, that it will bring us what we want, or when we get to a certain place in life, whether it's when we retire or get married or have kids, or when we have $1 million or whatever, somehow be better. And that isn't true. I mean, I've been doing financial advising for 30 years. I don't see that arrival happening for people. And I think what it does is it conditions our minds for the future. And as soon as you're future oriented around money, you can never actually experience enough today. In fact, the world's first billionaire was John Rockefeller, and somebody asked him, how much is enough? And you'd think if you were the world's first billionaire, you would just respond, what I have is enough. But he responded, just a little bit more is enough. So what we're going to do now is the thing that I feel like has really saved my life around money. We're going to be doing a reframe exercise. I practiced this for about a month. It took me about a month, and I'm a little bit slow, I think, compared to most of us, let's say. But in that month, it completely transformed my relationship with money, and my relationship with my father. Was by doing this exercise, as I started to see that idea that you should never talk about money. I started to shift that idea. It started shifting on a bodily level, and that idea that money is the most important thing in the world also started shifting, and the idea that you can never have enough of it. All of those things started shifting as I started doing this next meditation, which we're about to do. So I encourage you to kind of, to do it today, see what happens. And if it feels challenging to do this next part, just stay with it. I spent maybe 15 minutes a day doing this, and I had tremendous healing around some of these beliefs. The only thing we're going here is if we can, you know, it's like Dan Harris's book, 10% Happier. If we can loosen the grip on some of these beliefs just by 10%, you'll start to notice that your behavior changes around money. So finding a posture again for a short sitting. And again, and I invite you to close your eyes and tune in what's happening. Maybe there's excitement in the body, in the mind. Maybe there's dullness. Maybe there's just avoidance, like, get me out of here. I don't want to talk about money anymore. And that is so universal, I want to say. Like that idea around, it's shameful. I feel guilty for having it. I feel guilty for not having it. I feel ashamed about not having it. Whatever's arising for you, just see if you can welcome any thoughts, any feelings that are arising around money. And if you can bring some openness, some receptivity to those thoughts and feelings and meeting them, like we say in SIY, with that curiosity and that kindness, sort of like this curious scientist, just meeting whatever difficult feelings or difficult thoughts there are around money, as well as welcoming in any pleasant or positive feelings or thoughts around money as well. Welcoming all of that. And then I want to invite all of us to travel back again to when that money incident happened, when we were between the ages of 5 and 12, the one you just recalled, the one you just worked with, and putting yourself back in that experience. There you are, you know, in your home. Maybe it happened at school or at a family member's house, but seeing your surroundings again, seeing the people. Only this time, instead of actually putting yourself in the story, I'd like you to just float above the scene and just witness what's happening in this scene. Like you're watching theater. What's happening? So seeing, witnessing your own young self and anyone else who's present. And offering compassion for yourself, for that little boy or that little girl. Offering compassion to this young child, or maybe it's an adolescent, however old this child is in the story, offering compassion. I mean, I feel some tears coming up in me, that this idea of being so young, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and getting these strong messages around money. Just offering compassion for this young child who didn't have access to other ideas or ways of being with money. Yeah, sending love and tenderness to this young child, and complete understanding for why this child would adopt those beliefs and why those beliefs would lead to such suffering or such challenge in life. And now offering compassion to the adults in the story, or anyone else who is present, offering compassion to them, because they also came from fixed belief systems around money from their childhoods. They inherited their own unproductive beliefs around money, fixed beliefs around money. So having compassion for the adults in the story, for the challenges they grew up with and had throughout their adult life around money. Offering them the same tenderness and love and understanding, compassion that you offer to the young child. And now, I'd like you to imagine that the adults in this story are now saying or doing the opposite of what they said or did. So I want you to imagine that if you're getting a message like I got of don't talk about money, imagining that the adults are instead saying or doing something that reflects the opposite message to you. In my case, it would be talk about money. Don't be afraid of money. So imagining yourself getting the opposite message, that the adults conveying something completely different around money to you. What does that feel like in your body? How does it feel to have these adults convey the opposite to you, or for you to receive the opposite message? Who would you be if you received a different message growing up around money? Who would you be with this new message around money? Being aware of feelings in the body, sensations, aware of the quality of the mind, and then giving yourself about a minute at your own pace to start to travel back to your adult self, letting go of this story, of witnessing this story, and coming back to present time. And then slowly I'm being aware of this inhale and this exhale. And then going straight to journaling. So in this reframe, what do you want to remember? How would you be saving, spending, earning, giving? How would you talk about money differently? What would shift? What would get freed up if you had received these opposite or different messages regarding money? I'm going to give you 5 minutes here to journal. So take another minute. So welcome back. So thanks everyone for doing that work. It's inspiring to me to see it, and it kind of gets me fired up to keep doing my work, watching each of you. Yeah, I often ask the question, what would you prefer, $1 billion or a slightly less healthy body? And no one has ever chosen. Actually, there was. I gave this talk in New York, and there were two people in New York who said they prefer the $1 billion. Maybe that has something to do with New York City. I don't know, but there's so much within us that's worth more than money, and yet we've been fed this idea that our self-worth equals our net worth. The two have nothing to do with each other. Yeah, there's no perfect. Someone said there's no perfect message. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think to close with that, really we're creating this spaciousness within ourselves, this vastness. Like by letting go of the clinging to these money messages, we have this spaciousness from which to respond around money. And we don't actually, in some ways, we don't need any fixed beliefs around money because the wisdom is here. It's not in financial advisors. It's not in financial books. It's right here within us. We all have the wisdom and resources within to have enough money in our lives.